Hey friends, Leigh Brown here with My Kitchen, My Rules, or My Kitchen, My Way, whatever I named it, I don't even remember. And welcome to kind of a different show because we're going to start at the beginning and then I'm going to have to splice the video up and come back because today we are making a marinated ancho chili flank steak. And if you're wondering why you have to marinate flank steak, it's because, friends, it is a pretty tough little steak if you don't marinate it pretty good. And I reckon some of y'all like to chew on it, but if you've got soft teeth, you know, let's don't make things worse. So we're going to start off actually by juicing 2 limes, and you can buy that lime juice in the jar if you want to, and I reckon that might save you in a pinch, but fresh is better, and it only takes you a minute. And I have noticed that since I mentioned the Pampered Chef a couple of episodes ago, I'm getting invited to all the Pampered Chef parties, so thank y'all very much. I appreciate that you love me enough to give me the shout, because I am using my Pampered Chef juicer here. It's one of the things that I have bought and used for a gracious many years. And the thing they always try to sell is that pizza stone. I don't reckon I use that at all because I don't like to make pizza at home. It's too much work. And so we're going to juice our lime, and then we're going to whisk up a whole bunch of nice little ingredients before we take this very fancy piece of tough steak and put it in a Ziploc bag, which if you talk about kitchen tools that you need, friends, this has Ziploc bag far more so than any pizza stone you might need to get. Now, of course, you know I started this series because some of y'all need some entertainment during the coronavirus quarantine time, and I'm as ready as anybody else to go back out to eat again. And frankly, the minute they say yes in North Carolina, I'll be in the door. I think that there are a lot of people that are operating out of a sense of fear instead of good sense right now. And I say that with love, but some of y'all got to relax a little bit, have a little faith, read the Bible, wash your hands, you know, do the things that are normal. And if you wonder why I look a little bit dirty today, I did wash my hands before I started cooking, just for the record. I do believe in washing hands. I've been working in my garden, and so if there's anything that we know about the coronavirus time, it's taught some of y'all that you need to get back to the things that your grandma taught you a long time ago about food security. So having young tomatoes and squash and zucchini, and frankly, I feel kind of sorry for my neighbors because they don't know how many squash and zucchini I have planted. And here in the South, what's going to happen is that in the dead of night, at some point during the summer, zucchini and squash are going to mysteriously appear on people's front doorsteps and back doorsteps, and hopefully they'll be grateful. Although I don't know in the time of coronavirus if people are going to remember to be grateful and gracious. I just don't know anymore. But anyway, now we're chopping up some cilantro. And no, I do not have knife skills. And yes, Kit Fitzgerald, you promised to teach me some knife skills, sister. So I want to hold you to that because I don't have any knife skills, except I don't cut myself very often. I cut myself real good one time waiting tables. I was doing some prep work in the back when I worked at the Pig Palace in Durham, which is also known as Damon's. We used to have so much fun working in Damon's. In fact, I'm pretty sure I had more fun waiting tables in there. Oh, golly, this cilantro smells good. Y'all can't smell it, but see, you wish you could. Had so much fun working there. We called it the Neon Pig Palace. We had a lot of other names for it too, but we had to do a lot of prep work, and one time I wasn't paying attention. I sliced myself butt good and had to get workers' comp, but that was a good time. So now that we've got our cilantro chopped up, it says you need like a 1/4 cup. And for me, if I take one of these little containers from the Harris Teeter and cut up about half of it, that's gracious plenty. Because some people don't care for cilantro, like my Aunt Susan. I don't know why Aunt Susan doesn't like cilantro. I think it's because she's a lawyer, maybe, who knows. And so we'll chop up a little bit more, but not too much because it's so fresh. And by the way, we do have May is happening, Cinco de Mayo. I guess y'all got to celebrate at home, and you need some cilantro for a lot of your good recipes. And so let's put our flank steak in the pan, or not in the pan, just kidding, in the Ziploc bag. And this is 1.5 pounds for $14, and so it's not an inexpensive cut of meat, but it's still a heck of a lot cheaper than you going out, let's just be honest. And I do want to support small restaurants, but I know that some of y'all are like me and your jobs have been curtailed, although we're grateful that we're allowed to sell real estate again here in the Charlotte area. So I've got my little Pyrex mixing bowl, and we're going to put in the juice of 2 limes. And then I guess you could do something with this later on with some tequila if you were so inclined. And by the way, if you're wondering why Leigh Brown is not drinking yet, it's because that's for after you get the marinade going. This has got to go and sit in the fridge for some several hours in order to be worth a toot. So let's take our lime juice, gather up my cilantro. It's green and green. I guess that's good. Green is a color y'all should be eating more of. And then we need to get everything up off the counter. I'm not good at being a dirty cook, which is why I get so nervous making the show. Can't y'all tell I have nerves? So we're gonna put some cumin in there, and with like a half a tablespoon-ish, that looks about right. Or however much more you want. If you like cumin, put extra in. See, your kitchen, your rules too. And we're using some Ancho chili powder, and I definitely want at least a tablespoon of this, because this, friends, is the good stuff. And I'll just remind you that if you bought a spice once upon a time, used it one time, and then put it back in the cupboard, you should check the dates, because spices do go bad and they lose all their flavor, and that's not cool. And then we need some garlic powder. Got our McCormick's. You see me using their organic and the regular. I don't usually buy the organic because I think, frankly, it is a marketing scam by the big companies, but that was what I had available for Ancho chili powder, so that's what we bought. And then we need some kosher salt, because you can't go wrong with kosher salt. Yay! And we need, I don't know, 2 amounts like that, like in the middle of your hand. It's about how much salt you need, because the chili powder and the acid from the lime are going to create a lot of flavor on their own, and you need a little salt to accentuate it, but don't go overboard. So then let's get those mixed in just a wee bit, and now we're going to, oh, that smells so good. I wish y'all had smell-o-vision. Now we're gonna put some olive oil in. And frankly, I don't know the difference in the 𝑗𝑉𝑢 and the extra 𝑗𝑉𝑢 and the VU and light tasting. I buy whichever one's on sale. And so you need to be whisking this in about 1/4 cup or thereabouts. And I think I need a little more to get to thereabout. There we go. And it's gonna look like this. And so you're gonna have some nice viscosity. You know, we use that term in the NASCAR world, and I'm here in NASCAR country, kind of hoping we do get some racing back. So that's what your marinade's gonna look like, friends. And then we're gonna conduct a very, very technical task. We put our flank steak in a Ziploc bag. Oops, I forgot to take the thingamajig off the bag. Good thing I showed y'all in the camera. That would have been a hot mess. And we're gonna pour this in the bag. And then we're gonna seal it up tight. Put it in the refrigerator for some several hours. Now, depending on where you buy your flank steak, if you buy it at some sketchy off-market butcher shop, you might need to do yours for 12 hours. I'm gonna do mine for around 6. And by the time I come back to see y'all, this will be marinated and tasty. I'll have showered and finished working in the garden, and I'll show you the rest of this amazing supper. Okay, so if you're paying attention, you'll notice that I have now showered, and I'm wearing a different shirt for part 2 because your Ancho chili steak is still in the refrigerator marinating, and we're gonna make step 2 while it's marinating. So for me, it's gonna be around 6 hours or so for the steak to marinate. In the meantime, we're gonna get the vegetables ready, because you've got to have some vegetables with your steak. And we're having some tomatillos. So you need about 1.5 pounds of tomatillos. If you've never cooked with them before, they come in a husk, and you just pull the outer husk off, and then they're a little wee bit sticky. And there's something to do with that. And then you rinse them. So we're gonna rinse the tomatillos, and then we're gonna cut them into quarters, see, because that's the right size. It's not just a game you played in college. Did y'all play quarters when you were in college, or was that just me and my friends at Carolina? We went, our favorite bar in Chapel Hill was called Bub O'Malley's. And in fact, our friend Roger liked the bar so much that he bought it when we graduated just so he could stay in Chapel Hill. I don't even know if Roger's still there or Bub's is still there, because frankly, I'm too old to go to bars now. Well, most bars. I have been known to go back to visit He's Not Here when I am in Chapel Hill for a football game or some such. I hope we have college football this fall. It's gonna seem kind of stupid if we don't. All right, so we're gonna cut our tomatillos into quarters, and then as you cut them up, you're gonna put them in a Ziploc bag. See, this is Ziploc bag number 2. This is not the same bag that you marinate your steak in, and if you're astutely paying attention, you will notice that the steak is still in the refrigerator marinating. And after we cut up these tomatillos, And frankly, I just like saying that these are so good, y'all. If you don't cook with them, they're super easy to cook with, and they've got a really good flavor. And if you go to my Harris Teeter, if you went today to buy some more, you would find out that they are literally gone because we cleaned out the tomatillo display. Well, except for this one, it was kind of mushy, so we left it behind. And I'm sure that the Harris Teeter produce department will do something with it, but I did not want the mushy one. But now that we've got this going, the next thing you're gonna do is get a few sweet potatoes. Now, I will admit to being lazy today. I did not buy regular sweet potatoes so I could cut them up. I bought the pre-cut batch. And you're gonna want, I mean, I don't know, however many sweet potatoes you want, maybe a couple pounds. I don't know, I've got about 2 pounds worth myself because I really like sweet potatoes. And by the way, if you ever want to fix sweet potatoes by themselves, the best flavoring to put on them is that Trader Joe's chili lime seasoning. If you just put that all over your sweet potatoes with a little bit of oil, then you don't even need salt and pepper, frankly, and it's ridiculously good and addictive. So try that sometime. But today we're not putting the Trader Joe's chili lime in, although maybe it would have worked since there's lime juice in my marinade and chili sauce too. In fact, now that I think about it, somebody fix this recipe with the Trader Joe's chili lime and you just let me know how it works out. And now that I'm done chopping, it's ridiculously relaxing. So if you want to know why I enjoy cooking, it's frankly I enjoy knives. And it makes me feel accomplished to have a result at the end, because sometimes everything else in my life seems like it's always a work in progress. Amen. All right, so we've got our tomatillos in there. We also need an onion. And if you are one of my cooking people, you already know the trick to cutting and peeling an onion is to make sure that the leaves are going away from you so that you don't cry. When you cut against the leaves, that's when you get those tears and all the misery that goes along with fixing onions. But frankly, y'all, you've got to cook with onions because it's got the flavor and it's really good. So the recipe that I'm using says you could quarter this, but I frankly don't ever quarter an onion because I like to eat them. And if it's quartered, that's something my kids are going to turn their noses up. So we're just going to cut it in some large-ish chunks so that it is still going to retain its shape and flavor, but it won't be aggressive. You know, you can't have aggressive onions because they're just too much. And I used to be aggressive when I was younger. I'm less aggressive now because, as some people like to say, I DGAF some days, and I don't know why that is, but frankly, some of the things you read on the interwebs, like comments, are either gonna make you upset or they're just gonna numb you, friends. They can just numb you too. So anyway, let's put in a little bit of olive oil, a couple tablespoons-ish, or however much you think you need. Because you know, we don't measure in Leigh's kitchen, we just do the best we can. Oh, and if you want to know where this t-shirt came from, this is a Realtor t-shirt from Florida Realtors about the commitment to excellence. We're putting in some cumin, and you're gonna put in, I don't know, about that much, which is maybe a half a teaspoon or so. I might need a little more. Let's do a little more because cumin tastes good in this recipe. That might be too much, but we'll see. So there's how much cumin I put in. See, you can see the brown. That smells good. And then we want some more Ancho chili powder. And of course my cuckoo clock is gonna go off right now so y'all can sing along at home. It's 𝙑𝙏𝘼𝘾𝙃 right now. It'll play a different song in a little bit. You want about, let's see, that's about right. That might be, there we go. Now that looks about right. Now you can't see the cumin, so see, I'm covering up my cumin with my Ancho powder. And then we need some kosher salt, of course. And so we're gonna put about, because this is the vegetables, about yay much twice. And so that's about 2 teaspoons or thereabouts. And then we are going to put the sweet potatoes. They were pre-diced. I mean, really, I got a great grocery store. Your grocery store might cut them sweet potatoes up for you too if you'd ask nicely. But they're not hard to cut up. They're a little bit hard, and so I'm making a mess. I'll sweep my kitchen as soon as I cut the camera off. If I can stand to look, I have to look up at y'all because the idea of that being on the ground is driving me crazy already. So let me put a little bit more oil in the top to make sure the potatoes get some coverage. And then I'm gonna shake it up. So this is the best way to mix it, and it saves me having to clean a bowl. I've got my cookie sheet over here with a piece of parchment paper on it. The oven is at 450, and I know I'm usually a 350 channel. Today, friends, we are living right on the edge, 450 degrees. And by the way, when we're gonna cook this vegetable mix kind of aggressively at that high temperature, move your rack up to the next to the top one where you're not at the middle. My rack in the oven stays in the middle a lot, but for tonight we're putting it at the almost at, oh golly, it smells so good. So this is what it looks like, friends. See, this is pre-cooked. See, look at all that color. And we're gonna cook it in there for, well, as long as it's gonna take those sweet potatoes to cook, and that could be, well, at 450, I still bet we're gonna be at the 20-minute mark, but I'll check it at 15, and you're gonna go buy your sweet potatoes. And then I will be back with step 3 shortly. All right, friends, it is time for your big step 3. And before we do step 3, it's of course time for our cocktail of the evening. So we're gonna go to our dark and stormy because Ancho chili is kind of a deep south kind of a flavor, and so that's where rum comes from. And so this is actually made in Belmont, and we say high five Gaston County for trying to get your people back to work quickly. And go Gaston County. Tracy, you are doing the Lord's work down there. Take your rum, then we're gonna add in some Reed's ginger beer. Y'all know Reed's is my favorite. And why am I making 2 of them? Because I'm gonna give one to my mama, because any good daughter makes her mother a good strong cocktail with supper. And so now our vegetables have been in for about 20 minutes. We're gonna pull them out, and aren't y'all excited? I very rarely give you the action shots, so I know you're excited to see what it looks like. Oh snap, this looks good. All right, so look how pretty that is. They're starting to char a little bit, and the tomatillos have done some bursting, which is good. And now keep your oven at 450. This is very important that you do not disrupt your temperature. We're gonna carve out a spot in the middle. Look, that is technical. Scooch your vegetables over a little bit. So, frankly, another reason to use parchment paper. And now we're gonna get in the refrigerator and get our marinated steak. And look how beautiful that is. Yes, ma'am. And we are gonna put this in the middle of the pan. And nice and flat, Shazam like that. And then we are going to put this back in the oven, and we're gonna turn the temperature up to the setting you might not use all the time, and that's called broil. And so we're gonna mash the broil button and start. And then we're gonna put this in for 6 minutes, friends. 6. Now this is when Leigh actually uses actual instructions. You're gonna do 6 minutes, and then we're gonna flip the steak. All right, you got that? 6 or 6 minutes. And then we're gonna flip the steak. We're gonna cook it for 6 more minutes. And then you're gonna fall out because you're gonna have a tender marinated steak, vegetables for days, and if you're smart, you have a nice adult beverage to finish your day. I'll see y'all next time. Everybody scatters. So all I gotta say is turn the video back on and my people scatter. So we'll check this out. Now, you should know, friends, that on broil setting, your vegetables can char. So you see that my sweet potatoes did char, but I like them that way. And the parchment paper does also char, which could make your smoke alarm go off. Our smoke alarm went wild. And now we're going to take this flake steak out. Ooh, look at that. And you want to cut it against the grain. And there's the smoke detector. There's that beautiful steak. Look at that. Ooh. And then take your leftover drippings, go across the top. See you next time.